April 3rd, 2024.
I'll second Lisa.
Lisa? Wonderful job as always. Any comments or questions? Anybody need a minute, or are we good?
No.
No, I read it.
All in favor?
Good.
That is 5-0. Thank you. Brings us to the report of the chair. Two things. We had our town officials meeting this morning. It was just Mr. Sullivan from Elliott and Ryan and John and I. But we had a good meeting. We had a productive meeting. Ryan passed out the new budget sheet. We got word back that Elliott has finally solved the SRO billing process, and now they're in the process. They've gotten money in, so they're going to send us an invoice sometime in the next week or so. Mike talked about the cable access channel that Elliott has just joined up with. It's Elliott Channel 22, for those of you who live in Elliott.
Oh, wow.
And we talked about the possibility of perhaps scheduling things like replay of the recording of the board meeting, or potentially in the future, if we wanted to tape athletic contests, we could rerun them on that channel. So there's been a little bit of discussion about that. I don't know where that will land, or I guess we have to find out whether Southborough is considering the same thing. I don't know that we have it now. We talked about the SVPP grant, which we also talked about in our FNF meeting, so I'll save that for later. Elliott, space at Elliott Commons. Oh, yeah, no. They're looking at options. They're closing in on having a place to go for when the town office gets demolished and rebuilt. 236 project is continuing without traffic interruption. There's paving coming in May and June on State Road from Old Road to Kittery. Murray Road work is going to start in September, and they're putting in baseball and softball fields. I have that right, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
I never
interesting.
knew River Road was called Murray Road Field. I never knew that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Only River Road.
Yeah. And they're still looking at future plans for a possible pavilion that would include things like ice skating and pickleball. And,
Oh, great.
yeah, so that was really kind of cool. Our superintendent talked about the outfall from the storm, the issue we had with the generator at the high school, also on FNF, so we'll leave that for later. We did get a request from York County Emergency Management to use the high school for housing line crews, and then it turned out that they didn't need to do that, but that could have been cool. And then we just mentioned that our last budget workshop was tonight, which is something we'll talk about. Actually, I'll mention that right now. It should have been on my report and wasn't listed. We just completed our last budget workshop. The next step will be that we'll come back in 3 weeks to our next board meeting, and the board will vote on the budget to make it official. And that's when we'll go to the district budget meeting, and then later to the towns, assuming it passes there. Second thing on my list was I had a chance to attend the National School Board Association Annual Conference down in New Orleans late in the week and into the weekend, and saw and heard some pretty amazing talks. There was, Friday was the Rural Education Summit. This was the first live Rural Education Summit, which followed the virtual one that happened last fall. There's the National School Board Association is paying more attention now to the needs of rural schools, something like 40%. I'm trying to remember the percentages. I have it written down here somewhere, but there's a decently high percentage of districts in the country that are rural schools, even though only something like 20% of the student population total is rural. But different needs, lots of talk, lots of speakers. There was a student panel that was really quite wonderful to listen to these 4 kids from 4 very different rural schools around the country talk. One of the 4 kids on the student panel was a young man who was of Navajo heritage, and after the panel, he did a hoop dance, and it was breathtaking. It was so good. I'd never seen anything like it. It was really awesome. We had a speaker that talked about creating hope frameworks in the schools. Lots of really good stuff. If anybody is wants to do a deep dive on any of this stuff, I'll be happy to. But lots of talk about rural schools. And then as regards the regular session, I took in sessions on special ed. There was a student voice session that the title of it was what caught my eye, which was Nothing About Them Without Them,
Yes.
which is so cool.
It's interesting. We use that like in hospitals for like when you give report now, it's in front of the patient. So
Yeah,
it's nothing but-
that's
without
pretty
them.
cool.
Yeah.
There was a general session that on that first day that involved a fireside chat with Ruby Bridges. It was
Oh,
the
wow.
absolute high point of the conference for me.
Wow.
She's amazing. Yeah, there was a talk that I went to that was given by the Roanoke City Public Schools in Roanoke, Virginia. 14,000 students. They are a urbanish, but completely surrounded by rural towns, and it's right on the edge of Appalachia. So they kind of have a little bit of everything in their district. It was really interesting to listen to them talk. Dr. Timothy Shriver gave a keynote address on the second day too. He was he's a very, very engaging speaker. Talked about he and others have developed this thing they call the Dignity Index, where it's an 8-point scale, and at the bottom at 1 is the kinds of statements that sound like these people are animals, we should destroy them, and at the top are the statements that sound like you're respecting the dignity of the people that you're disagreeing with. It was interesting to frame school boards in that context. It was very instructive. Anyway, I could go on all night.
Cool.
It was very worthwhile.
So you attended on behalf of the state from your state
Yes, yeah,
position?
I went
Wow.
as the vice president of the Maine School Board Association.
That's
Cool.
really
Great.
cool.
Interesting. Yeah. I have family in Roanoke, Virginia.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so that concludes my report and brings us to the report of the superintendent.
Thank you very much. First on my agenda was just beginning that conversation around summer meeting dates.
Yes.
And so our last meeting of the school year is the 26th of June. And that's a move from this, the 19th would be our typical meeting, which is that first, and that would be the third
Mhm.
Wednesday. So just want to make sure everybody has that again. And just another reminder that the first Wednesday meeting in June will be at 6 o'clock. That's a 6 o'clock meeting. That would be the top 10 first.
Yes.
People leave for convocation, and then we,
You'll remind us that week.
yes, we'll be right on the, yes, yeah.
It'll be on the
If I
agenda.
say it enough times, it makes
Yeah.
it true, so I'm gonna keep reiterating it.
Okay.
When I looked at the calendar, I thought possibly June 10th, July 10th or July 24th. Would either of those 2 days work for the board? Wait, and you don't have to tell me. Just if you could start thinking about that.
Offhand, 24th is better for me.
24th of.
24th of July. you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say
it's better. for
same
me.
than June, rather than June.
John, that's not around Kansas City.
No, Kansas City's in the middle there. That's, I want to make sure of that.
Is
So
it
we-
10th
so
or 24th?
We think the
10th or 24th?
24th. then?
24th. Yeah.
Can we put down the 24th
Yep,
tentatively, and then
yeah, let's do that.
process it a little bit? Okay, the week prior to that, just for clarity, we are going to ASCA. Dr. De'Aaron, myself, Heidi, and Kathleen Ring have been chosen to speak at the National Conference, the National School Board Association.
Nice.
Not just,
Nope.
National
Yeah.
National School Counselor Association,
Okay.
sorry.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we were going to talk a little bit about our work that we've done with our school counselors, and we might weasel in a little bit about Howdy, but we'll see.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Next would be the preferable date for me, if this works, just because of the timing, would be August 21st.
Yep.
That would allow us to be able to have any new staff hired so they could join us the following week for the
Yeah.
professional development before school starts.
Absolutely.
So I think August 21st would work for everybody.
I don't think I'm gonna be here. Everyone
Yeah,
else
That's good
is.
for me.
Yeah, I think,
At this point,
I don't
works.
have a
Yeah.
calendar in front of me.
Let's pencil it in.
Okay, the thing about the 21st, which is good, is that those of you who have students in high school, that will be the first week of athletics, so typically you'll probably be here anyway because stuff started at that point for the school year, so that helps though. But I'll put that down and we can talk about it again next meeting, just as kind of a follow-up.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Next on my agenda, just sad, thankful, a lot of emotions, but Dr. Harrison and I have been working together, and he will be retiring as principal of Elliott Elementary School. Just want to thank Peter very much. You know, he is just a wonderful human being, someone who you can count on. What I appreciate most about Dr. Harrison is that if I go to the Elliott Elementary School, which is usually my Thursday stop, if I can't find him, he's out on the playground. I just love that, you know, like being out there with the kids, you know, and just enjoying what you do. And so he exemplifies that the most. He would be done December 31st is the tentative date that we have right now. That would give us an opportunity to interview for the position. And we'd like to post that sooner rather than later and try to get that person in place accordingly. So just want to thank Dr. Harrison for everything. You know, obviously, we're thankful for him and just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that this evening to all.
We'll have a chance to thank him in
Yes.
that time frame.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. James, if you don't mind, I'm gonna just do a couple more things. Can I just do other before we do student report? Is that okay?
Okay.
Just want to mention, the York County Emergency Management group met prior to the blizzard, the nor'easter. I just thankful that I was included in that meeting where the police departments, fire departments, recreation departments, all of the branches of the public works of the South Berwick, town of South Berwick was there and be invited. It was informative. Ray Delcourt did a really nice job kind of talking about kind of, you know, what the, from Art Cleaves at kind of York County headquarters, what the storm looks like. And so that was really very helpful to be able to be part of that. I really want to thank Tim Pellerin, just really communicating so well. Both he and Jay Rademacher around the storm, you know what to expect, you know, where CMP, you know, and just those types of things. Just for clarity, basically that Thursday of the storm, CMP wasn't really even focusing on power restoration. They were just trying to get, you know, power lines secured, get things safe.
Right.
And really that Friday is when they began assessing and trying to do the restoration process. And so obviously canceling school is a big deal for us. I think it was the right decision. It was just, you know, that really was as bad a storm as they've seen in 10 years, from my understanding. The other part of that, and I know we'll mention it more, is that our generator at the high school failed that day, and so that does make it really difficult to have school when you don't have any lights. And so for clarity, when it comes to school, you have to have a certain percentage of your school in session in order for it to count as a day. Basically, with the high school being out by itself, the percentage, we would never be able to make that percentage, so we wouldn't have school anyway, because we would have to repeat the day. Regardless, all 5 schools didn't have power, but I think it was just important. So I do want to step up and thank the town of South Berwick.
And many families as well.
Yes, yes. As Joe had mentioned, we were contacted, I was contacted on Sunday morning early, saying that CMP and kind of their, you know, partner power restoration crews had asked to be able to sleep at Marshwood High School and be able to have a place to shower and charge their phones on Sunday night. We had everything in order for them to be able to do that. They were going to stay in the gymnasium. They would use our showering facilities. They decided not to use it, but obviously anything that we can do to be able to help our local community to be able to do that, we wanted to do that. So,
Of course.
you know, we'll certainly be willing to do those things in the future as well. And then the last thing, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this. Sometimes things come together in a weird way, and Monday with the eclipse was probably, in my 20 years in this district, probably one of the most special days, because it was so out of the box thinking that we kind of did the opposite. We had school districts that were canceling schools, so they can't imagine canceling school after being out for those 2 days prior to that. We had some school districts that were dismissing early, and I think we took the polar opposite approach, and we extended the day to allow families and kids to stay. And I just think it was, I'm thankful that our staff was able to work with us to be able to make this happen, and we did some compromises to be able to make it so. But it was incredible to be at Marshwood Middle School and see kids running around, playing wiffle ball, shooting baskets, playing foursquare, looking up Mr. Carson in the science department talking about the eclipse. But it was like one of those times when you see staff just enjoying kids. And that was so, so powerful. And just, it wasn't about, let's talk about algebra. It wasn't talking about a science experiment. It was just about talking to people as human beings and experiencing this really for some people that this doesn't happen very often. And so I'm just so thankful for the staff. I'm thankful for our parents. I mean, there was some mental gymnastics that we had to pull off. Our administrative assistants in our offices were making phone calls on Monday morning, making sure that everybody had a plan, particularly at our elementary schools. Heather Webster kind of, really moving the needle with the transportation department, kind of pushing things off, still running a late bus. There was a lot that went into making that happen, and it happened very quickly. For clarity that came out of concerns that staff had about kids being on the buses and being really dark during pickup. So that's really where those concerns came from. So here we were, taking staff feedback, trying to be collaborative, being good listeners, and adapting to that, creating a really unique experience for kids. So I just, again, really proud of it, really thankful for our community and for our staff for that day. So, James.
All right. So since we last met, baseball had a scrimmage against Yarmouth last night. Softball had a scrimmage against Portsmouth, and they lost, but they took a win against Spalding. Boys lacrosse had a scrimmage up at Winnicott, and they won. And girls lacrosse had a scrimmage yesterday up at Wells, and they took home the win. Student Gov is talking about the situation for next year when it comes to our junior and senior presidents. It's a little bit up in the air right now, but we're trying to get things figured out. We're also getting ready to send out the application information for next year's school board representative, which is super exciting. And we're trying to tie up some loose ends. We're going to start talking about what worked this year, what might not have been so good, and what we want next year to look like. For extracurriculars, Civil Rights is working on wrapping up the year. We're trying to make activist spotlights more consistent and sustainable for next year, and we're talking about what the seniors' legacies might look like. We're also going to be tomorrow, actually, the Leadership Summit at York was rescheduled to tomorrow, and the kids who are going to be going to that will be missing school, and I think it's looking like it's going to be a really great day. And then Mamma Mia had their closing shows this past weekend. Initially, they had one show scheduled for Friday and two on Saturday, though the storm bumped Friday's show to Sunday. Overall, the cast performed wonderfully, and they're sad to be done. And Winter Percussion and Winter Guard had their final show this past weekend, and they both took home silver medals, which is super awesome. Their chess theme was extremely popular, and then they're determined to have an even better season next year. So, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
And that concludes our report.
Very good, thank you. No correspondence on which to report. That brings us to the report of the committees. First up, F&F met earlier this evening. I'll run the numbers quickly, and then Heather will handle the rest of the stuff. General fund cash balance is in good shape. Budget, revenues, expenditures, all tracking pretty closely. Expenditures just a little bit higher, but we're having our final third payroll month, so good to get that behind us. Adult ed is still well in the black. We get the fourth quarterly payment from Kittery, so that will, as it always does, will spend down to zero over the course of the rest of the year. Food service is still running in the black. We don't have the March numbers in yet because we get that information a little bit late for this report, but it's well in the black. Federal grant money is starting to come in now for this year. In fact, Ryan mentioned that a $70K Title I payment came in just today, but that won't be reflected in this report because this is for March. So it's good to see that starting to flow. Where we stand month-wise, the projected spend to this point should be around 75%, given an even 12 months, and we're at 75.4. So with the three payrolls behind us now, the rest of the year should flow quite smoothly. Smoke quite smoothly, also.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, glad somebody did. Okay, that's pretty much the numbers.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so in terms of the facility update, the Gator, which is basically the golf cart that drives around the various fields at Marshwood High School, it rolled over and it inflicted some damage on the cart, so it needs some significant work. And the employee that was driving the Gator / golf cart was injured, but he's definitely okay. So will more to come about the cost of fixing that particular cart. We're currently looking at a robot to paint lines on the field. It's like the Roomba type situation. It would paint the lines, and it would be a cost saving for the paint budget. But we're going to be seeing it, or the administration will be seeing and requesting a demo next week. So they're going to really see if this is a tool that we should be investing in or not.
Literally watching paint dry.
Yeah. So it was mentioned earlier, the high school generator wasn't working, but it might be a simple fix as perhaps a chewed wire or something. So they're assessing the situation and determining the next steps. In terms of the transportation update, we're still looking for a transportation director. We do have interviews set up for next week. But if you are interested in becoming our next transportation director, please apply. Let's see. The closing date for the van lease is tomorrow. I know that the van purchase has been mentioned many a times. So finally happening tomorrow. In terms of the SVPP grant, which is the security grant, after the RFP process, we've selected the A3 company. They'll be our vendor moving forward. Equipment is warranted for 10 years. In terms of the software, we received quotes for the software pricing 5 years or 10 years, but it's looking that the 10-year software agreement is going to be a cost savings. So I believe we're moving forward with that. The purchase order for the camera equipment will go out this week. The cost to install the equipment is going to hopefully be charged to the grant. And then 25% of the total will need to be funded by the district, which will be like $125,000. Food service update, the small generators that we mentioned before that we purchased to make just the whole situation with if we lost power, instead of moving the food to the various freezers, the small generators were to help reduce the whole process of keeping the food fresh. One didn't work very well this last time that we lost power, but I think we've resolved the issue. And yeah, it seems to be a great solution to our issues prior. So that's it.
Okay. Questions about that? Please.
It says on the agenda, the next meeting, May 15th. We don't meet next month.
Thank you for that.
And remember, the district budget meeting is Monday the 13th, not Wednesday the 15th.
Yep.
Monday the 13th at 7 o'clock.
Okay. Ed Policy will next meet on April 24th, which is in 2 weeks. And we have about half dozen or so second reads tonight. And then Wellness and SEL will next meet prior to our May 1st meeting. So I don't think we have any reports on that tonight. That concludes the report of the committees and brings us to that new business. May I have a motion, please, to approve the second reading of Policy EC?
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy EC, environmentally sound schools.
Second, Rebecca.
Rebecca? No changes since our last discussion. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Let's see, 5 hands, thank you, 5-0. Motion, please, with regard to EBCB.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy EBCB, emergency evacuation drills.
Second, Lisa.
Lisa, thank you. Same drill. Drills is in the name of the policy, sorry. No changes, comments, or questions? All in favor? That's 5-0, thank you. Motion, please, with regard to CHA.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy CHA, development of administrative procedures.
Second, Jen?
Jen, thank you. Same thing, no changes since last read. Comments or questions? All in favor? That is 5-0. Thank you. Motion, please, with regard to CB.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy CB, school superintendent.
Second, Heather.
Thank you. Again, no changes, comments, or questions. All in favor? Oh, thank you. And bring the page here more efficiently. Thank you. Motion, please, with regard to CHD.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy CHD, administration in the absence of policy.
Second, Lisa.
Okay. It's a short one, and we didn't change it. All in favor? 5-0. Thank you. And lastly, may I have a motion, please, with regard to JJIF?
Move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy JJIF, management of concussions and other head injuries.
Second, Jen.
Thank you. Same thing, no changes. Comments or questions? All in favor? That is 5-0, and that concludes our new business and brings us to the building administrator check-in. Who wishes to go first?
On, so our after school is really busy because we have a lot of students in track and they are very excited. Softball, lacrosse, so all the kids are very excited to be outside and getting there. They're still inside, but we had our 8th grade dance. It seems like forever ago because of the storm. Again, the kids were so well behaved. They were in the gym, they were dancing, they had a game room. It was really nice to see them come together. We had our Hawk Pride assembly on Friday again, I don't remember. Our core value this time was courage. So it was really nice because some of the kids that you wouldn't normally see go up went up because they've just done something that showed exactly what we're hoping to instill in our students is standing up to somebody else or speaking up for themselves when they haven't in a very long time. So we're really getting the kids to come out of their shells and embrace those values. Parent-teacher conference, we had a good turnout. We're still working on how we are going to change our process with that to meet all the parents' needs. We had the MIAS that, I want to say Sally, right?
Yep.
Management.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, Sally came and discussed and reviewed the survey. So our kids, they met with her and we got some really good results back of what they think is really good at the middle school, what they think they could change. Some of the things are like out of my hands, like AC and drink water. I'm like, okay. But other things were more based on communication. And so that is something to easily fix and move forward with. So we're excited about that. And then I can't echo enough what Mr. Caverly said about the solar eclipse. It was one of those moments where you catch yourself stopping and looking around and realize this is why you do what you do. Because the kids, the volunteers, our science department rocked it. It was just a great, seamless event that I hope we do more of in different manners. And then last but not least, a great thing that came out of our MLTI day, Vanessa Hutchinson is an 8th grade student that won a $1,000 scholarship for her postcard that she created during the day that day, and she'll be able to use that towards her college if she goes. So
Cool.
we're really
Great.
so proud of her and taking it seriously and putting it out, and it was all about me. And so
Cool.
thank you.
Very cool.
Great. Thank you.
So I will go ahead and start with the eclipse. It was a little interesting for the high school because I didn't know how many kids were going to be around. I didn't know if kids were going to leave and go watch it from home or they were going to stay back. So I'm going to be honest when I say this, I under-ordered the number of classes that I needed because I finally put 2 and 2 together and we had all our athletes in for pictures. And I think, oh my gosh, there's 200 kids. and I don't have 200 glasses. So we tried to order more. Unfortunately, we found out they're not coming in. So I started to talk to Jerry and talk to Peter and talk to Nina and talk to Christine, like, do you have any extras? So at 2 o'clock, I was driving from school to school to school, and I picked up an additional 40. So now I've got 90 pair of glasses to go for whoever wants them. So still I'm nervous. So at 2:50, I told kids who kept asking me all day, you got glasses, you got glasses? I said, we will at 2:50. Like, no, I'm going home. I said, no, I got glasses for you then. So at 2:50, we made an announcement, come on down if you want glasses. And I was thinking they were going to be gone in 3 minutes. And kids were finding ways to share those glasses, which was super cool. And a couple coaches had bought some I didn't know about for their teams. So really, I wound up having about 40 left over. So, but it was cool being outside, seeing that. It's not something you see every day. Two things really, piqued my interest during the eclipse. One was how quickly the temperature dropped and then came back up. But two, I don't know if you noticed it, but if you looked at your shadow, it was the crispest, cleanest shadow I think I've ever seen in my life, because I think there was such limited range on the sun. So it was a fun event. Today and yesterday, we had representatives from Shipyard come today and meet with several of our students. Representatives from STEM outreach team, including Marshwood alumni and community members were present. They did a machine and electromagnetics displays, which was a lot of hands-on experience. They talked about a day in the life of that career, advice to my high school self from back then, and then of course the path that these instructors took to get to their career and what that involved. All freshmen plus some saw the electromagnetics, and 71% of our student body saw the machining. So it was a cool event. Jen, I know you were there.
Rebecca. Yep.
Rebecca was there, and it was really good.
It was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really great.
It was great.
And I can't, continue to say the positive things that Kyle is doing to
Yes.
work to build this career center into something fabulous. And that was the vision we had. And it might have started off slow and people didn't know, but it is certainly growing and getting better and better.
Yep.
We found out from SRTC, which is Sanford, our students will be notified tomorrow through email if they've got into a program or not. However, we know that we had 70 applicants apply from the sophomore class, and 54 got in, which is higher than any percentage we've had in a long time. It's 77% of our kids are accepted. 11 of those kids are on a wait list, which means they could get in, but you have to wait to see if people accept.
Right.
So if somebody applied and is on a wait list to cosmetology, and then somebody who got accepted says, I've decided I don't want to do it, then they go to the wait list. So I'm hopeful that half those 11 will get in at some point, and only 5 of our kids were told no. Now, that's a super competitive request to get into some of those programs. And to have that high a number is just fabulous. Dover, we had 30 applicants. Again, we've got to keep that number around 20 for budgeting reasons. But for ROTC, which is a new program for us, sports med, biomed, and of course the animal science is what we've been doing for a while. On Saturday, Rowan met me in Bangor, Rowan Waddell, and we went to the Maine Principals Association conference, and there were over 100 high schools represented there. I was a little nervous with the storm if people would show or not. And of course, their one representative. Unfortunately, Rowan did not win one of the scholarship drawings, but we had lunch and we had a great time, got our picture taken, and she did that. Following on Monday, Rowan, her parents, and Bradley Wentworth and his parents, and Mr. Buzzell and I had the SMAA Student Athlete Citizenship Conference in Portland. And so just a way to recognize some of those kids. We're pulling together all our schedules, getting those ready, trying to make everything work to roll out before certainly school gets out. And one change that we're making in collaboration with BAR is we're readjusting the caseload of the counselors. And Lindsay Edson next year will be the sole 9th grade counselor for all 9th graders, and she's going to focus on working with the BAR team as well as that smooth transition from middle school to high school, all part of our plan had that successful first year. It will not change any counselor's caseload, but she will have all freshmen. The other 3 counselors will be split up through the alphabet, and Kyle will keep the career and voc students on her caseloads. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I say one other thing?
Please do.
Just want to remind everybody that at 9:30 on Friday at Marshall Middle School, Michael Bodie will be in to do some speaking. And then at 1:30 on Friday to 2:15, he'll be at the high school. And I just would be remiss if I didn't reach out and thank Lisa and the MEF for putting this together for us. We were able to partner with them to bring a great speaker in.
Would you mind repeating the times?
Yeah, of course. Marshall Middle School at 9:30, 10:30-ish. Well, sure.
Okay.
Maybe 10:15, but maybe an hour, 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
And then at the high school from 1:30 to 2:15. And just, this was really Lisa and the MEF's vision. We were able to
Yes.
put this together and be able to include Michael to impact our students. And so we're really excited about it and thankful for the partnership. And thank you, obviously, for Lisa.
We're looking
Thank
forward
you,
to
Lisa.
hearing about kindness and mental health and resilience.
Very cool.
This Friday?
This Friday, yes.
Last thoughts from the board? I just want to say, I went up to Dummer, New Hampshire on Monday to be in the path of totality, and it was
You
life-changing. It was,
did?
it
You
was an
got to
amazing
see
experience. It
it?
was my first
Wow.
time seeing totality of a solar eclipse. It was, words fail. It was just such an awesome experience. So if you haven't seen totality, figure out how to do it
Yeah.
at some point in your life. It's
Yeah.
really awesome.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I second.
All in favor?